Dignity to chives. How's it working out? Rock. Listen now, you the. 4-5 years, Richard Deacon showed up to work with a smile. He played the perfect punching bag on the Dick Van Dyke Show. Audiences loved watching him get roasted. But Deacon was secretly furious. He once said working on the show felt like attending an uninvited party. The person he hated most was someone who controlled everything. Someone who rewrote his lines minutes before filming. Someone who made him feel like an uninvited guest at his own job. The truth will shock you. Richard Deacon was born on May 14, 1922 in Philadelphia. His parents, Ethel and Joseph, were middle class and tried to provide a stable life. But that stability didn't last long. When Richard was just 7, the Great Depression hit. Many families collapsed financially, but the Deacons managed to hold on. Then when he turned 11, something far worse happened. He got polio. In the 1930s, polio was one of the most feared diseases. It killed thousands of children each year and left many others disabled for life. Richard's case was severe. The illness left his legs weak and his childhood dreams crushed. He couldn't run or play like the other kids. Doctors didn't have real treatments back then. Most parents could only hope and pray. For Richard, the pain lasted months. He had to fight through fear, isolation, and the constant threat of permanent damage. But he didn't give up. As part of his recovery, Richard's doctors recommended dance therapy. It was unusual, especially for boys. In those days, dancing was considered feminine. But Richard didn't care. He wanted his legs back. So he danced. Slowly his strength returned. Step by step, he rebuilt his body. And something else happened, too. He discovered the stage. The rhythm, the movement, the attention. It stirred something in him. He didn't just get stronger. He found a new way to express himself. That would matter. Later, after his recovery, the Deacon family moved to Binghamton, New York. They needed a fresh start. Richard enrolled at West Junior High, then Binghamton Central High School. He wasn't loud or flashy. He was serious. He worked hard. He focused on his studies. At 16, he graduated in 1938. He was already different from most kids his age, not just because of what he'd survived, but because of what it had taught him. In Binghamton, he also met someone who would shape his future. Rod Sorling. They lived just a mile apart. Both boys were curious, intense, and obsessed with ideas. They read books, talked about films, and questioned everything. Their conversations lasted for hours. Richard pushed Rod. Rod pushed Richard. One became an actor. The other became the mind behind the Twilight Zone. But those teenage talks never left them. They helped build the creative worlds both men would later step into. After high school, Richard didn't rush into showbiz. He took a job as an orderly at Binghamton General Hospital. It was tough work. He cleaned equipment, helped patients, assisted doctors, and saw life up close. He wanted to become a doctor. Being in that hospital gave him a front row seat to the pressure, pain, and purpose of medicine. It wasn't glamorous. It was gritty and real, and Richard loved it. Then came the war. Like many young men, he wanted to serve. He went to the Navy. They turned him down. A recruiter told him, "The Army will take anyone," and pointed across the street. So Richard walked over and joined the Army Medical Corps. That rejection changed everything. In the Army, Richard was thrown into the deep end. Despite having no degree, he was made chief of the lab at a 5,000-bed military hospital. The place was huge and hectic. Soldiers poured in daily. Blood tests, pathology, diagnostics. His team had to do it all. He worked under pressure that few civilians could imagine. But he handled it. He grew fast. And he saw what real responsibility looked like. After the war ended in 1945, he came home in 1946. He enrolled at Ithaca College as a pre-med student. At first, it made sense. But something had changed. The classes felt slow and dry. The fire wasn't there. At night, he started working as a radio announcer. His voice had power. The microphone felt right. And one night, turned into many. In 1949, Richard Deacon packed his bags and headed to Vermont. He transferred to Bennington College, a school known for two things: its serious drama program and its mostly female student body. Out of around 300 students, only about 30 were men. Deacon stood out right away. He wasn't just another student memorizing lines. He was also a student, assistant in the drama department. That meant he helped with stage management, direction, and production. Few students got that kind of access. Deacon got it all. He acted in 6 major plays between 1949 and 1951. One of them, a Chekhov adaptation, used staging techniques that were considered groundbreaking at the time. Bennington wasn't just about learning scripts. It was about discipline, creativity, and doing things differently. That environment shaped how Deacon would later approach every role he played. It gave him the foundation he needed for the long road ahead. But even with a solid foundation, the early years were hard. In the early 1950s, Deacon tried to make it on Broadway. He kept showing up to auditions, hoping for a lead role, and he kept getting rejected. Then, something happened that changed everything. He met Helen Hayes, one of the most respected actors in theater history. She didn't sugarcoat anything. She told him straight out that he would never be a leading man. Most actors would have taken that as an insult. Deacon didn't. Hayes explained why. His face, his voice, his presence. He had something different. Something that made him perfect for character roles. Not the romantic hero, but the unforgettable supporting part. She encouraged him to focus on that path. Deacon took her advice to heart. He stopped chasing the wrong dream and leaned into what made him special. Years later, he still talked about that conversation. For him, it was the moment everything finally made sense. Between 1950 and 1955, Deacon lived the tough life of a struggling actor. He moved back and forth between New York and Philadelphia, taking any part he could find. Most were in off-Broadway plays or regional shows. None of them paid well. Some barely paid at all. To survive, he worked nights as a bartender. Some weeks, he put in 60 hours behind the bar. Still, he never stopped acting. According to theater records, he performed in at least 25 plays during those 5 years. He went to audition